If anyone can give Collingwood a sniff of September, it's this bloke. The Pies, they went from cold to hot on a chilly day at the G to give their flag defence a pulse, while it's very, very bad news for the Lions. The big Texan, Mason Cox, will join us live as the Pies look to defy the odds. Port turned the power up in the showdown, but Houston, you have a problem. And where's this been all year? The Saints stunned the Cats under the roof, keeping the ladder predictors busy. Hogan's the hero, putting up giant numbers in a finals-like frenzy against Freo. The D's put a week from hell behind them as the sun sets on Gold Coast season. And Essendon bomb out of the race after a second-half shellacking from the slow-starting Swannies. Plus, we revisit some of the famous hoodoos in Lordo's Deep Dive. Volcano, it's one for the ages. And we're moving the target for Louis handball. All that and a whole lot more. There's Damo, Kane, Lordo and Brownie on the bold, the brilliant, the all-powerful, the all-conquering Sunday Footy Show.
Yes, a very good morning and welcome to the Sunday Footy Show. I tell you what, Collingwood, the dream is still alive for Collingwood. Sydney's on top of the ladder and Port Adelaide, they're the number 2 seed. The number 2 seed is Port Adelaide. And speaking of the number 2 seed, here he is, Tony Jones.
More than happy to go home again. More than happy to go home again. So how did you enjoy your little moment in the sun?
Well, we've been working away here. You've been on
off air
holidays
for 3 weeks.
You've been on holidays for 6 weeks. So we've been working. I've been hosting the show beautifully as well. So have a look at you. This is working. This is you working. What are you doing? You're at the pub. You're taking photos. You keep telling me I'm doing all these interviews trackside, and here you are.
No. The
come on. That's the
Was that the only exercise you did in that 7 weeks?
Pretty much so, yeah. Yeah, why do you ask?
No, you're just not in great shape. But it's a joke, Tony.
Is it?
A joke, yes.
It was. There was a little bit of downtime at the very end, that's for sure. So anyway, you want to talk about body shapes, do you? Because I don't think you're in any position, skeleton man. But anyway, you had a good time?
I did. Good to have you back, though.
Yes, thank you very much. We'll see you've started from this end. Lordo, how are you?
Bit of an awkward start for us too. But great to be back, TJ. Everywhere I was going, when's the Sunday Footy Show back? So it's great to be back this morning. And the footy's unbelievable, so unpredictable. And even today, Carlton, Western Bulldogs and Hawthorn, so much on the line for those
Yeah,
clubs.
big showdown last night as well. Port Adelaide locked themselves in the top 4, but the big moment will be down Houston, which we'll get to, Damo.
We will in a moment. TJ, you did do a really good job hosting in your absence over in overseas, but the vanity of that man, Nathan Brown, it has always intrigued me. I wake up this morning, Sunday Herald Sun, page 32, a reminder of this man's football career. We spent half his career with his top off. There's a reflection there of the man for all seasons calendar. Now, we know that he's also sought WADA exemption to take drugs to keep his hair over the journey. We know that he's kept his forehead really smooth with Botox. And then I heard something I've never heard today, TJ, until this morning. I walked into the makeup area this morning to get ready for the show. I heard this man, our man, talking to the girls about having his eyebrows coloured.
No.
And I just need a camera to zoom right in now because these have been coloured. I know what they were before that.
The makeup girl said you've got very fair eyebrows that we need to put a little bit of colour into them. And I said, OK, let's go for it.
Botox and coloured eyebrows.
Yeah. Why do you do Botox, by the way?
Have a look at how many wrinkles I have. Can I get that close up again?
Need a fresh dose.
So stop talking about Botox. Have a look at how many wrinkles. Look, it's
Finasteride.
wrinkled everywhere.
Well, you must be due for another dose.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All righty, let's take a look at the results from this round of football so far because every week it seems to be intriguing. I can't work it out.
No, I can't work it out either, TJ. Sydney have locked themselves in the top spot on the ladder. Melbourne had a tough week but destroyed the Gold Coast, particularly through the midfield. The Giants are in really good form, perhaps the informed team. Collingwood stormed home to win by a point. Port Adelaide hold on pretty comfortably in the end in the showdown, and St Kilda come from 33 points down at half-time to really disrupt Geelong's top 4 hopes.
And teams placed 1, 2 and 3 on the ladder all got wins out of round 23, but teams placed 4 and 5, Geelong, Brisbane, bad losses, and it's put them in jeopardy. Also Fremantle there in 6th. 7th and 8th still to play today, 2 matches remaining for them, and then the bottom 10 teams looks like this. Collingwood giving itself a chance, and the Essendon Footy Club had another bad night. We'll talk about that soon too. But so just the Collingwood component to that scenario now. As best we can simplify it, the 3 teams that are immediately above them on the ladder all have 2 matches remaining. Western Bulldogs, Carlton and Hawthorn. This is the simplest way to do this. If 2 of those 3 teams lose both of their remaining matches. The Pies are in, provided the Pies win against Melbourne on Friday. There are other complications around that, but that's probably the simplest way to look at that scenario right now.
So the chances are slim, to
They're
say
slim,
the least.
yeah, quite slim. Yeah.
All right, but they did give themselves every chance by scoring a thriller against the Brisbane Lions yesterday. Let's take a look at that.
They did, TJ. 4 goals, 5 to 2-2 in the last quarter. And here, Charlie Cameron, he puts them 17 points up with 7 minutes to go. Joe Danaher has another shot after that. Should have put them away, but enter Lachie Schultz. He had a couple of big moments. I'm a big fan of Lachie Schultz. I think he's, you know, it hasn't been a perfect season for him, but he's going to be a wonderful player for the next 7 or 8 years for the Collingwood Football Club. This was what Craig McRae showed time and time again in the auditorium on Monday. That chase down tackle by Isaac Quaynor, and then Schultz gets involved back again. Awesome, just playing on instinct. They've got to allow him to play a little bit more instinctively, and they'll get the best out of him. And then the Beau McCreary one, Shadow Brain, just inexperienced there, got on the wrong side of McCreary, and he's been important for him coming back as well, TJ.
See, the Lachie Schultz narrative is interesting because when I left, it was the worst trade ever. And now everyone's sort of pumping him up, and rightfully so, but it's indicative of the season, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd like to say on Monday night, I touched on this. Yeah, on Monday night, just saying that it's too early to be going, Jack Ginnivan. I think they'll both be good for their clubs, but I think Schultz will be a very good player for Collingwood over the journey.
Collingwood are the best at the close finishes, as we know, but Brisbane couldn't have got it any worse yesterday. They absolutely botched it. Let's have a look at Joe Danaher. So he misses the goal, and this is his next effort. That's not an effort of a player that wants to win the game and hold them up because it's very close. Here's Starcevic. Just needs to corral here and not allow Schultz to get past him. If he corrals him, he doesn't kick the goal. I know it's a grubber along the ground, but what's he doing back there, Starcevic? Just allows. So that's 2 goals they've kicked that they shouldn't have. And Lordo, you spoke about this one here. Here's Brain. And then you've also got Jack Crisp out here on his own as well. So I'm not sure where all the Brisbane players are. They're still in front. They need to be holding. They're not. They kick another goal. So all of a sudden they're in front. Why they've got players behind the football. Now they're behind. They need to have everybody on deck. I'm not sure what they're trying to save. They are a point down. And then Collingwood have the ball in their half, and they've got 1, 2 loose here. I'm not sure what they're doing at the moment to have loose players behind the football, because if you kick it out, there's Collingwood players everywhere just going to pop it back in. And then they eventually do get the ball out. This happens. They get the footy back in. Now you've got the players behind you, so you may as well use them. Then they panic. They just didn't play the same way Collingwood did late. And although Brisbane botched a very easable top 4.
Yeah, and probably the premiership, I reckon, Brownie. I mean, to finish top 2, which was on the line as an interstate club, is so vital. And we mentioned Joe Danaher. We speak about him regularly. It was the full Joe package yesterday. There was some absolutely brilliant play from Joe. You think this guy could be the best player in the league. But then you get this. Charlie Cameron just needs that ball sat in front of him and he runs into an open goal. Joe tries to take a bounce. Then there's this brilliant stuff. So the contrast between some of the best football we've seen from any key forward to some of the worst was on display. I said last night that this is why he's never been regarded as a superstar, because he does that. He launches torps when they've got a pretty handy lead at a critical stage. You can go back, kick your 5th, bury the game. Look at the score there, 17 points up. That is why he'll never be regarded as a game superstar when he had the potential to be that.
The past fortnight has been disastrous for the Lions, hasn't it, from the big picture perspective. The game against GWS the previous week, they were in front by 3 goals late in the piece, conceded the last 5, and then we just witnessed and critiqued what happened yesterday against the Pies. Lordo, 5 years previously, including a grand final loss by a kick, they were the most successful team if you want to just look at it in isolation of finals appearances and performances. But we now get to 2024 and they've, in the past fortnight, fallen down the ladder to remove themselves from controlling the possibility of a double chance.
Yeah, this is going to be a wasted era now. I think I'm with Kane. I think they're going to have to go interstate for every final to win it. I don't think they're capable of doing that. And they had it all there for them, and they've put the last couple of weeks, haven't they? So 2nd, 4th, 6th, 2nd and 5th, when they've had a lot of top 4 opportunities. And I think Lachie Neale's a year older, Harris Andrews, the list goes on and on, of Charlie Cameron, and I think they've missed out on a wonderful time to not just win one, but win a couple.
If Collingwood is to make the 8, all right, based on what you saw last night in particular, they would surely pose headaches for those sides above them.
Well, they would on the MCG, I think, when you have that crowd. I think they're still so reliant on Nick Dacos. Like, he was the one, and it's still the older... Pendlebury, through the second quarter, had 10 touches. That got them back into the game. Still side bottom at his age doing that. I just think they're a bit thin through the midfield and so reliant on Nick Dacos, who was the match winner for them yesterday.
All right, Mason Cox to join us on the program a little later on. That was a good word you came up with, easeable.
Easeable, yeah.
Where'd that come from?
It's a Combination of easy and able.
Right. And I think I said butched. I should have said botched. Apologies.
That was fine. Look, you've been away for a few days, all of you there, so it's just still.
Yeah, I'm self-reporting before it comes up on SEN on Saturday.
Everyone's got us worried now, haven't they? Hey, what about the showdown last night? This is going to be the basis of Kane's volcano, which is, as I said in the introduction, one for the ages, but there's a huge story to come out of this.
There is, TJ. It revolves around Dan Houston's hit on Isaac Rankin here in the third quarter, and we're going to be debating this for a few moments now. Everyone's got a view on this. The only important view that we're going to next get from an AFL perspective is Michael Christian's head of the match review office. I'd be surprised, TJ, if that doesn't go straight to the tribunal, just to let the system, which I think is convoluted system, but just let the system itself work it out, because he does make contact with him and he was taken out of the game, Rankin, with a concussion element to it. So that all needs to be factored in. But I also argue, and this will be attempted to be mitigated.
What is the alternate argument?
Yeah, well, the alternate argument is he didn't make contact with the head. And as far as AFL players are concerned, the bump is not yet eliminated from the game. So that will be part of the posturing behind the scenes. I know you've got strong views on it, Kane, and we've got a conditioning of the responsibility being taken by the player making a contact for the ramifications of the act.
And that's where it's at. So you've got the opposition player in a vulnerable position. The duty of care of the player playing against him is to not do that. I mean, when you've got the alternative to be able to tackle and you elect to bump, whilst, yes, the initial contact didn't get him in the head, the contact with the ground knocks him out. It's a shocking look for the game. I expect it to be at least 4 weeks minimum. I think there's an argument for send-off rules in types of incidents like that, because Adelaide at a critical stage lose their best player. Port get to keep theirs on, and it may be the last game Dan Houston plays.
Well, if they finish top two and win their first final, that will eliminate him from a grand final if they then make it.
I don't think he plays again this year.
How do you think they grade it, Damo?
Brownie, I'm a sceptic when it comes to these matters. I feel they'll give him a chance to play in a grand final should Port get there. So, again, I know that what I'm saying doesn't back up with the science, but I would reckon he might get 3 weeks to give himself a chance to play in a grand final.
Is there a world where he can get off because he didn't hit him in the head?
The legal Eagles will have to go to work really hard on it, and that will be the starting point. And I think it's a good mounting case at the outset of it, yes.
And that's why you can't have a send-off rule, per se, for an incident like that. Because once that goes to the tribunal, assuming it does, then there might be a clever legal eagle who sort of says, that didn't go to the head. That is not against what we're being told.
I get what you're saying. The umpires, for whatever reason, did pay a free kick. But if that's in a grand final and it's at a critical stage and opposition lose their best player and you get to keep yours on, how's that fair?
Okay, so what if he's sent off and then the tribunal finds him to be not guilty?
Yeah, for me, that's just a clear-cut one.
Yeah, but you're not the tribunal.
Yeah, I know, but I think most people would be in agreement that if you can go upstairs, review the footage, he elects to bump, he's concussed badly, he's out of the game. Pretty straightforward.
But equally, the rules will stay. You can bump a player that way. It's just that the head contact was the problem.
So you're saying the alternate action on his part was a tackle?
Yes.
And he, and I agree, had plenty of time to make that premeditated decision to tackle as opposed to bump.
But on your point, it's a great point you make, because Patrick Cripps got 2 weeks. We all thought he should have gone. I know they've changed the rules now. He gets off it and wins a Brownlow because of it.
Yeah.
So Carlton would probably sue the AFL in the end.
Absolutely.
Down the track that he was sent off and he eventually got off. So that's where it's a tricky one.
He was fortunate to get off that charge on Calamachi. Lockie Jones had an issue too with Rolly Philthorpe on this matter, and it was a tunnelling motion. Again, I don't feel there's any malice in what Philthorpe did there, but again, it was a fiery game, wasn't it? And other circumstances could have seen a free kick paid.
That wasn't even a free kick either. Yeah. And that's one, I think, for the end of the year, and we saw one with Eric Hipwood earlier on in the year with Blakey that they and the MRO need to look at seriously. That should be a reportable offence also.
Zach Butters is going to join us shortly.
Yeah, and he was awesome last night, TJ. The record amount of disposals in a showdown ever, so 42 last night. Adelaide showed him no respect, and this was always the challenge for Adelaide. They had a stacked forward line. Port Adelaide was undermanned, but Port Adelaide's midfield is their strength, and he was a leader in there last night, so 10 clearances for him, 42. He had 20 contested possessions. He kicked a goal late and won the medal, but Rosie was also huge, 9 clearances for him, and Horne-Francis 7. So when you package up 26 clearances between the 3 Port Adelaide gun midfielders, Adelaide had no answers and they showed him no respect last night.
OK, here we go. This is time for the volcano. I don't want to give anything away, but Josh Rochelle, if you're watching, maybe flick over to Netflix, mate.
Yeah, turn over right now, Josh Rochelle, because you embarrassed yourself during the week. Firstly with this.
You can just hear all the Port fans with their no teeth in the background. I did mention on Nova before that the Port supporters don't have many teeth, so that was a...
Oh, really? And then he doubled down with his Instagram story straight after with this. So there it is. Apologies, Port fans. And it's not like to me, it's not even a funny joke. Like, if it was clever, if it was funny, you go, okay, well, there's a bit of humour behind this and it builds it up. And then he kicked a goal. It was his one half-decent moment in the game last night. Here it is where, you know, late in the second term, he kicks that nice goal and goes over to the Port fans and does this. Now,
Good celebration, though.
This is the player who has said that he probably needs to put the celebrations away after he had some really iffy moments in the early stages of the year where he didn't go hard enough. Well, you like it, Brownie, if you can back it up. You don't like it when you do that and then you have a real critical moment in a showdown which is built on physicality and you shirk the issue. Not for the first time this year, Josh Rachele. He's got a real issue in his game where he struggles to accept physical contact. So when you do that, when you set the tone with those comments, when you celebrate like that in the face of the opposition, and you can produce a performance that has 10 possessions and 1 tackle and a really ordinary moment in the middle of the ground, and then you lose, you are now the laughing stock of the competition. So we're talking, you've embarrassed yourself and you're a laughing stock. Port Adelaide are laughing at him right now.
But isn't there also a case to Mount Cain that, you know, we want that sort of character in the game? Do you know what I mean?
There is,
and as Nathan said, that celebration, in 3 years' time, when we do a Lordo's deep dive on celebrations, that's going to feature prominently, and we'll all laugh.
Yeah, so I think
everything was fine except when he pulled out.
Well, that, and he's got to play better. I mean, and that's not the first time he's pulled out this year. He's had a number of iffy moments. If I was him, I'd be earning some respect in the game with the way you go about it before getting ahead of yourself and doing that. Now, the Hawthorn stuff, you go, well, Hawthorn are celebrating. Well, yeah, they are. I think they celebrate together. I think there's a bit of me about Josh Rachele, and he celebrates on his own. For me, the Hawthorn, they're backing it up with their performance, and they're all in it together. Once again, you look at Ollie Wines after the game, I'm telling you, Port Adelaide and the AFL world right now are laughing
Has
at
Matthew
Josh
Nick's
Rachele.
been asked about Rachele's comments during the week at all?
I'm not sure whether he was, but if you were Matthew Nicks, in the off-season probably is the right time to say, come on, just take a step back with this. Let's get your football right.
Wasn't it Port Adelaide the last 2 seasons leading into the showdown?
100%.
Saying very similar things against Adelaide?
And Brownie, I volcanoed them.
Isn't that what the showdown's about?
No, well,
building up the rivalry?
Not when you can't deliver. So Port Adelaide, you're spot on. We hate Adelaide, and then they'd lost 3 in a row, and I'm sitting here going, well, stop talking. Let your footy do the talking. So they did pull back. It was Adelaide. Fogarty also made some stupid comments earlier on in the week, and when you don't deliver and when you play as poorly as that, it comes back to bite you.
Yeah. For someone who is theatrical, though, you don't like a lot of theatre from players, though, do you?
Well, did you like that? Do you think that is a good reflection on Josh Rachele and the Adelaide?
No, but I think the Adelaide Crows have got bigger problems than what Josh Rachele's doing. They've won 8 matches in a season that they set out to finish top 4.
And that's all part of it, Damo, as well. Like when you say this is our mini grand final, when Darcy Fogarty says I'll be the cherry on top if we can end Port Adelaide's season.
They're 4th last.
And you deliver that, exactly right, which is all involved in the volcano here today.
The one thing I'll back Kane up on, like your players who are the best in our game, I don't think they'd sit there in an interview and question the teeth of the opposition's fans.
Well, you guys have been hanging the proverbial on me for years about teeth. So why are Port Adelaide fans immune to it?
Say I couldn't imagine, say, on the eve of a big game, let's say Collingwood v Melbourne, that Scott Pendlebury would sit there and question the teeth of a Melbourne, or the Melbourne fans are off at the Snow. I just reckon that's probably something that players get it wrong at times, where he hasn't probably earned that respect or can't back it up. I just do think Bontempelli, Lachie Neale, these guys, that's what I think Josh needs to aspire to, and maybe just worry about his football.
But we don't want a competition of robots either.
Yeah, that's true. But
do you think that reflects well on him, though, TJ?
In my personal view, yeah.
You think that reflects well on him? You think that's enhanced his reputation?
What I see is a bit of character. OK, now I get your point, he's got to back that up, but I see a bit of character, which is what the game's lacking.
Yeah, I thought it was embarrassing.
OK, no, that's fine, and it was a worthwhile volcano, but I think, well, we'll find out on the socials, you know, sort of, and this is not an exercise in creating hate.
Are we going to let the socials judge us?
No, but, well, you're right, actually, yeah. Well, I think we're all in agreement there.
Put up a poll.
Sorry?
Put up a poll. See who's right.
Who are you voting?
I like what Josh Rachele brought to the table during the interview. I like the fact that he celebrated, but to Kane's point, he needed to back it up on field, and he didn't back it up on field. But we don't want to take away the theatrics of players and be robots, to your point.
OK. All right, let's move on, because Geelong, to a certain degree, shot themselves in the foot.
St Kilda all too late, unfortunately, so they're making a good play late in the season, but there's a lot of coaches that'll say, you know, why do you do it when it's late in the piece? You know, are these late wins meaningless in terms of when it counted?
They are, Lord.
They are, and this was a great win. And what I like about St Kilda is the ball movement. We've questioned them. I've questioned them. We said, you know, we thought about that win against the Gold Coast Suns. It was a nothing. This was a good win. They played a great brand of football. But again, they'll be judged on the first 7-8 rounds of next year, Damo.
There's a false comfort, Lordo, in teams that do this late in the season. I really feel that. Adelaide had a component to it before they were again exposed last night against Port Adelaide. St Kilda's doing it. I know they've had issues. I know their list is not as good on paper as other clubs, but there's no point winning matches at this stage of the year late when it doesn't count and mean anything. The loss, though, does count and mean something against Geelong because they were positioned well after that Fremantle win the previous week to finish top 4, but they've now exposed themselves to other teams now controlling where they finished.
Where do you see him, Brownie?
Well, I'm
Geelong.
just concerned about their midfield and whether it is a premiership midfield. When Patrick Dangerfield, you're going into a game and he is still your best player and your best midfielder. They actually ranked 16th disposals conceded against other midfields. So when you're going into a game and you're giving up so much midfield disposal, it is hard to win. It's hard to feed your own forwards and it's hard to help out your defenders when you're giving up so much ball. I think they've got the weakest midfield in the top 8 at the moment. They'll probably finish 4th and get Sydney. Sydney aren't going that well at the moment, but I've got a real concern about the Cats being in the top 8.
OK, just that brings me to my point, and you were happy to discuss this on air. You said off air in our production meeting they're the worst team in the 8 at the moment.
Worst is a strong word.
Well, you said that.
In the top 8, I don't think they can win the premiership this year. So that's what I'll say. On the back of all the teams that are in the top 8, on the back of their midfield. And if they do, it's a monumental effort from their leaders like Jeremy Cameron, Patrick Dangerfield, and to more extent Chris Scott to build a game plan to suit that midfield.
All right, and the comment was made a little earlier, the Giants, the form team of the competition.
They are, and the best players do the simple things well, and that's where Joey Danaher, we're critical of him because he does too many things that are outside what he needs to do. With Jesse Hogan, 10 goals clear in the Coleman now, he's just doing everything well. Like he's a colossus in terms of his contested marking. He's the player who's the most accurate in the comp with his set shot goal kicking. He brings other players into the game. He's just doing everything. And what a story. Like, I question, what are the Giants doing taking this guy? He's let himself down at 2 previous clubs. Why would you take? But to his credit, he's comfortable. He's happy in Sydney. And mate, he's doing what he should have done.
And when they got him, Lordo, to your point, they weren't even convinced he could get 15 matches per season into his system. And now he's playing full seasons and winning Collins.
I don't think there's any dispute that Brent Daniels is now the best small forward in the game. I think that is a universal opinion that we can all agree on. He's doing this. His game yesterday, I'm going to do the votes later, but he's a perfect 10. He comes up the ground and Fremantle had no answers. Just watch. So he's involved twice there. They allow him to drift back inside forward 50. His work rate and his defensive ability is as good as anyone. So his numbers yesterday, 29, 3 goals. He had 13 tackles. He had 7 clearances. He plays a team first role. So his role there is to guard the corridor to stop Fremantle coming back through, but then he's doing this, so his ability now to really inflict the damage on the scoreboard. This was as good a game as you've seen. Just the little things like that, doing the right things at the right time, and then to finish off your work with this. Like that's just pure class. Brent Daniels, the best small forward in the game, and his performance yesterday, as good as the individual performances we've seen from anyone this year.
The D's finally shook off the Suns, and in many respects, this was all about Jack.
It was. Jack Viney was terrific yesterday through the midfield. He made a statement game. Max Gawn played under duress as well. Obviously, Clayton Oliver wasn't out there. But 30 disposals, 9 clearances, 10 tackles. Almost a perfect midfield hard nuts game. And then he added 2 goals to it. More importantly, 10 score involvements. And I know there's been talk about him potentially going to North Melbourne. But Jack Viney, just as hard as they come through the midfield, just his best game for the year. I think he's been down like a lot of the other midfielders across the board at Melbourne throughout this year. But this has been his best game.
And the performance came, Brownie, at the end of a long week where, again, Melbourne's culture was questioned. Alex Neil-Bullen's decision for family reasons to want to return to Adelaide. Christian Petrarca refusing to shoot down Tom Morris's report that he was disgruntled with the footy club. And then Viney himself being linked to North Melbourne. Post-match was asked about that.
And I'm confident of the future of this footy club, and it's been a disappointing season, but we're going to keep chipping away, and I'm really confident we can get back to our best soon.
And you're not going anywhere?
No, we'll get through the season and we'll see how it pans out.
You left it open-ended there. He's obviously
gone.
got a decision to make.
He's gone.
Look,
Not overly confident now that I've seen that.
I just can't see a scenario where Jack Viney, the Melbourne Football Club's Jack Viney, leaves the Melbourne Football Club by his own.
How old is he?
There's been bigger names to leave the Melbourne Football Club.
What do you
Yeah,
mean
there
by
have
his
been.
own? That'll be how it happens by his own choice, wouldn't it?
That's what I mean. I can't see a scenario where that is the case. I mean, North will offer more money, more term, more years, but he's as loyal a player I think we've ever seen in football to this point. So I'd be surprised. It's just an opinion I've got on this story. North is clearly in the market for that type of player. They wanted to get Scott Pendlebury. He's re-signed at Collingwood. Luke Parker, that type. Callan Ward, Jack Viney. They want 1, maybe 2 of that type of player from next year onwards.
All right, Friday night we cast our minds back to the Swans grinding out a win over the Bombers.
Yeah, so it was the last quarter against Collingwood that you thought, is this going to flick the switch for the Swans who had been out of form? And it was. So what we're showing here is the third quarter goals. Braden Campbell was brilliant. I just thought he's a player who's had a lot of talent. He started to get involved. Heaney's been the one. And it was 6 goals in this third term that really got the game back on their terms. Hayward, you're going to see here, he's a really important player. He kicked 3. So I'm not fully convinced on Sydney in the way that they're going. And Brandy will speak about their tall forwards in a moment with a couple of the injuries that they've got. Chad Warner, Damo's man, withdrew with a tight calf. Not sure how serious that is, Damo.
Well, they said it was only a 1 weeker, but now that they've almost secured top spot, regardless of result next weekend, I'd be resting him for the first week of finals.
So the tall forwards are the thing that you need to worry about with Sydney. I think their midfield is stacked, as we know. I think defensively they're very sound. But Marty's kicks 37 goals. 9 of those were in the one game. Then you got McDonald and McLean. So when the ball went in there the other night against the Bombers' defence, it was still Heaney who went forward. It was Hayward. Obviously no Tom Papley there, but it's the smaller players that need to get the job done. And going into a final series, Kane, have you got confidence that those 3 tall forwards can get the job done?
No, I don't. They need to get Papley back quickly as well. So if you've got Heaney and then you've got Hayward and Papley and one of those key forwards can stand up. But often it's not the key forwards, Lordo, that stand up in big finals. They just got to play their role.
Yeah, that's right, Kane. On the Bombers side of it, Brad Scott's got an issue. Number one is their inside 50 entries are appalling, so they're just not functioning in the forward line. And I think in defence, they have too many guys that kick it sideways. So I call them the crabs of the Bombers. So McGrath crabs it sideways, Laverty crabs it sideways, Jake Kelly crabs it sideways. You shouldn't be allowed to kick it backwards in this game in terms of... He's conceded 30 metres there, McGrath. And then he goes backwards to what you should only be allowed to do that if the player can play on, because then he gets it back and he's worse off. They've given away 15 or 20 metres. This one, into the corridor, give the handball off to the player who can then go and test the opposition. He doesn't give it. And then where's he going to go sideways? So Sydney loved this after half-time. This is the reason the Bombers only kicked 8 goals on the night, because they refuse to take you on, and Sydney's defence set far too often. So that's an issue over the off-season.
Well, it's unfortunate for you that you often are the face of the Essendon situation. And you made the comments at the start of the year, again in context, that the Tullamarine facility would be burnt down if they failed to make finals. I'm paraphrasing a wider conversation, but that's where the club is now at. For the second year in a row, they have fallen away dramatically and quite embarrassingly.
Yeah, they have, and as I said, you can see the anger there. So I made that point.
Yeah, I don't think any of them are arsonists, by the way.
I think it's the way, Damo, they've lost again 2 years in a row. They've been in wonderful situations to make finals, and they've missed out again.
It's a poor fall. I mean, David Barham came in 2 years ago threatening and promising to change the whole dynamic of the footy club, and here we are 2 years later. A year after Ben Rutten had made finals, they'd sacked him, and nothing's changed ultimately.
What's wrong, Kane? Is it
That was very funny. That was a great...
Is it because I mentioned fire?
No, it was a great one-liner.
All righty, I've forgotten how sweaty my palms get when it comes up to this segment, but here we go. It is with much trepidation, I've got to say, as we roll into what caught my eye, and to kick us off, it's you, Kane.
Yeah, you just got to sit back and welcome back what caught my eye. We've all missed it.
Yeah.
We've got a bit of ammunition to get through, which I'm looking forward to. TJ's gone international, which I want to get to in a moment, but sometimes you've just got to sit back and enjoy a chompilation.
Oh, come on. We look forward to seeing you on the Footy Show at 8:30 tonight.
Thanks, Chompers.
Righto. Thank you. Remind us not to have him on again.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Chompers.
No worries, Chompers. Cheers.
What were the odds?
Good work, Chompers.
No worries. Cheers, Chompers.
Really didn't think you'd go there.
Thanks, Uncle Chomp Chomp.
Thanks a lot, Chompers.
Thanks, Chompity Chomp Chomp Chomp.
Yeah, getting back to your form.
Thanks, Chomp Chomp.
Thanks,
Good on you,
Chompers.
Chompity Chomp 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 Chomp.
Thanks, Chompers. Chomp, chomp, chomp.
Oh, wow. Did not see that coming.
So this is sort of your domestic level. Like that's what's the chompers who you've received sort of on the domestic front, largely revolved around the AFL world. I just didn't think that you would go international, but you did.
Well, here she is, Australia, your new golden girl. It's just been one out of the box for Australia, so thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thanks, Chompers.
You got chomped.
Yeah.
International.
You know what I find remarkable? You've just ripped Josh Rochelle a new one for having the gall to make teeth jokes about Port Adelaide supporters.
Good point.
And you've just spent an entire segment on me.
We're fine with it.
It's not a bad point. It was funny.
Hey, TJ, you were away for a long time, 7 weeks in totality,
Yes.
and it wasn't just the Olympics you dominated in. And great coverage. Wimbledon before it, and I thought you lifted your door-stopping game to extreme levels here. The biggest celebrity in the world, Tom Cruise, was no match for you with a microphone.
Tom Cruise has become close to the royals, inquiring personally to Prince William about the princess's health. On the run, he too welcomed news of her attendance. Excuse me, Tom, are you excited about Princess Kate coming tomorrow?
Yes, very much so.
Good on you.
Brilliant work there now, TJ. We have already had some fun with this in the past, but we need to go there again. That was great examples of great door stopping. This is not so great examples of door stopping. You need a microphone for starters, TJ, if you want to door stop Xavier Campbell. And equally, when the big name, Gillan McLaughlin, was there, we're just sneaking behind with the phone.
There he is.
Every Australian
There you are,
can
TJ.
see themselves in the
Door stops.
I thought it was you when I first saw Tom Cruise arrive.
Yeah.
He's got a very different looking face.
Kane,
Like your forehead.
Kane, you've been aggressive on some players. Josh Rochelle this morning went hard on Nick Cox during the week, talking about his concussion and maybe he needed to cop a hit a little bit better. That's what you brought up with. But then you waded into areas that you shouldn't. You waded into areas where you've got no idea and you've got no right to talk about.
I guess it's not dissimilar to a boxer. Like, some of the more successful boxers have a strong neck, they have a strong shoulders, and they have a hard jaw, like a really strong jaw, and they can receive a punch far better and more effectively than others. And that's just what makes them good. I guess it's not dissimilar. Whereas some other boxers, they get hit and they go down pretty easily.
I'm sure they do, Kane. So let's roll the tape.
I didn't go down. I didn't go down.
Only because I stopped punching you.
I'm still standing, Brownie.
Only because I stopped hitting you.
Look at that. Strong jaw.
Please don't knock me out.
Thick
I
neck.
stop.
Look at it. Thick neck, strong jaw. I didn't go down.
Jeez, the guns look good in the studio.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, you'd be very happy with that. Speaking of guns, Ray Gun was obviously the big talking point in many ways to come out of the Olympics, and I think we're all just scratching our heads over some of the moves that Ray Gunn delivered there. I will say the vile which has been spewed out in her direction on social media is probably uncalled for, but clearly there was no place for that, certainly in an Australian tracksuit, and whoever ticked it off, seriously. So I just thought to myself, it's not the worst example of dancing that we've seen, is it? Let's roll our little compilation here of dancing. So this was Nathan over in Fiji, I think, on a holiday that one of the rare ones he might have paid for. We've seen Luke Darcy. I'm not sure he'll be using those moves when he wines and dines Peter Dutton today, but there's the security detail that they'll be having for that. Then we saw Gary Lyon and the crew on Fox. Now, this was probably Gary's biggest regret. And then this was the piece de resistance. This is Bruce McAvaney sort of pumping up the Spring Carnival. That's Bruce. It's not a bad move, actually. And there's Eddie. And there's Eddie doing the same thing. So I reckon Bruce and Eddie sort of conduct themselves pretty well there. So there you go. So Ray Gunn, it's not the worst thing we've ever seen.
Now, my son loves watching footy on YouTube, and he come laughing at me because of this moment and Bruce McAvaney's commentary off the back of it, of a poor game I played.
Lucas has got it, centre wing. Of course, get that goal a moment ago. Lloyd spills it as he hits the ground, allows Paxman through, Port Adelaide away.
Not Lloyd's day today, is it?
Right, so Bruce has had a crack at me there, and I thought, geez, that's harsh. So I went to the history books and had a look at that game before Adelaide, and I thought, geez, you're harsh, Bruce. So we get the stats up, and I thought I'd look at who else maybe had a poor day. So I had 19 and kicked 4, and Bruce has given it to me. The bloke over there, right? He had 2 touches. 2 touches? He didn't play again for the rest of the season after that game.
Come on, I probably played 10 minutes. I probably sat on the bench and played 10 minutes.
I don't know about that, because I went to the vision of it. Even Nick Stevens said, so, no, I'm not giving it to Kane there. He didn't want to give it to you. Then even your brother Chad, who loves you, look, no, I'm not giving it to the bulk either. And then we saw one tackle that you had for the day, and this is it.
Oh, no.
Let's go.
Oh, no.
Let's roll the tape.
Curie.
Kane, so I wonder what Bruce said about you that afternoon, Kane. I think he would have said you'll never play again.
Probably did.
Were those his stats from that game or from that country game? All right, good work, fellas. We've got through that unscathed, I think. We're going to take a break here on the Sunday Footy Show. When we come back, Mason Cox. And I know that you're going to ask the tough questions in this one, Nath.
Absolutely.
Proud of you, mate.
I like Mason.
All right, that's all coming up right after this on the Sunday Footy Show. We're back. Welcome back to the Sunday Footy Show. Kept us in suspense there, Nath, didn't we?
Absolutely.
Well, what have you done in that situation?
Pretty much welcomed everybody in and then kept going.
OK, well, let's just do that, because that was something of a brutal first segment, I've got to say. And this was something of a brutal night out for both Collingwood and Brisbane fans. But in the end, Collingwood did what they did best. getting them to the stage that they are, and that is come from behind.
They did too, Jay. It was a wonderful win by Collingwood. 61,000 fans going nuts there for the Magpies. Lachie Schultz had a big last quarter, kicking 2 goals. Nick Dacos does what Nick Dacos does, and Mason Cox was also influential and joins us this morning. Thanks, Mason.
Thanks for having me.
What a win it was. Keeps your season alive. How are you feeling this morning?
A bit sore this morning, as you do, or the morning after a game. But, yeah, it was a massive, massive win for us as a club to keep us in the finals hunt. And, yeah, those people you mentioned, Nick Dacos and Lachie Schultz, I think, you know, we call him Shooter, but Lachie Schultz, he's one of those people that kind of goes under the radar, I feel like, from the media a bit. And we value so much of what he does. And he's an incredible player, and we're very fortunate to have brought him over from Freo.
These are the clips of Lachie Schultz, and how does he cope with it? Because I think sometimes those guys, he's over in Perth, I'm sure there's a lot of scrutiny there, but the Ginnivan trade, some comparing him to Ginnivan a fair bit. Has he found it difficult fitting into the new system as well this year?
No, he's slotted right in. Like he's pretty much played, I feel like, every single game this year.
Yeah.
And he's a bit of a different player. He's a massive pressure player, so sometimes pressure doesn't get, lauded that, kicking goals does. So last night to see him kick some of those massive goals in the end of the game was awesome. But yeah, he's one of those players. He's one of my favourite people to play with because he's a small guy that blocks for the big guys, And as a little fella, sometimes going and hitting a ruckman is not always the most ideal thing, but he enjoys it and he makes the most of it.
Mason, even before the Craig McRae era, you've played in a lot of close matches. Are you able to put it into context where yesterday's was in the whole scheme of things?
Yeah, it was, well, like I said, it was very important for us and our team to try to make finals. And, to come back after that, being down, I think it was maybe 20 points in the fourth, and to kind of slowly see that kind of get chipped away. And to see some of the smalls like Bo McQuarrie be able to come and bob up and kick some important goals. And, Isaac Quiner laying a huge tackle in the last quarter. It's great to see those guys, shine on the big stage. And for us, that energy that we get from our fans is incredible. We're very fortunate to have one of the biggest fan bases. And for us to be able to have that kind of win in front of them and then to get up and about and go nuts, it was incredible to have. I think it was 60-odd thousand there.
Okay, but I've got to say, as a Collingwood supporter, it's still disappointing that you're in this position where you're probably not going to make the finals. So why is it that? Well, that's the cold hard fact.
Right.
No, but that's the cold hard fact. I mean, we're sitting here at the moment talking about top 4 material, but outside the 8, how did you get in that position?
How did we get into that position? We lost a few games. Yeah, that's the basis of it. But yeah, obviously we'd love to be in the top 8, and we'd love to be in the top 4. But at the moment, we're mathematically still a chance. So we're going to still put our best foot forward. And at the moment, all we can really do is just win. If we can win games, then the rest of it will take care of itself. But we're not going to focus on the past and kind of things that have happened in that sense. We're just going to focus.
Yeah, but what are you doing now that you weren't doing when you were losing those games?
We've probably just gone back to the basics. One of the best things that I think we do is put pressure on teams. You look at yesterday's match, and I think at the end of the game, the pressure in the forward line was massive, and I think that's kind of one of the staples we've come back to as a team and be able to get back to our best.
Plus 30 tackles just on that point. Tackling was enormous yesterday. And to Nick Dacos, 4 goals down at quarter time, and his second quarter was as good an individual quarter as we've seen this year. This goal is as good as we'll see this year. Unbelievable. 14 he had in the second term and 2 goals. Mason, put it into words for us if you can.
After that goal, that first goal, he took about 2 bounces and kicked it. I think he just walked up to him and I said, "You're an absolute freak." And he just kind of looks at me and just goes off to the next thing. He's one of those players. I think Craig said about it last night. He's like, as a grandparent, I'm going to sit there and say, I coach Nick Dacos, and I'll be definitely a ruckman that sit there and said I gave a few taps to him over my years. And it's incredible what he's doing, at his age, and we're very fortunate to have him on board.
Absolutely. What does the future hold for Mason Cox? So you play football for Collingwood, maybe for the next 5 or 6 years, hopefully win another premiership. What does post-football look like for you, being an American and dual Australian citizen?
Yeah, hopefully there's a lot of opportunities once I finish up. I'd love to do a bit of media. I'd love to be involved. Just the Olympics in Los Angeles coming up would be pretty cool to kind of be involved in that, and who knows, maybe get
you have to ask permission. You have to ask
permission.
Yeah.
You did really well over the.
Oh, thanks, mate.
Getting your foot in early.
What did I do over there that took your fancy?
Your interviews with the Fox sisters were
okay, right. I take it all back at that time.
It was a good try to throw me under the bus. Didn't work too well. But no, hopefully something like that. I think I love doing this kind of stuff. I love being involved in the media. And I think it's a good different perspective for a lot of different things, given my background, where I come from.
Who's the best side you played this year? Where do Hawthorn sit in that recent loss you had to them?
Yeah, Hawthorn's probably the most informed team, I'd say, with the most momentum right now. Probably the best team you look at. Yeah, I mean, GWS is a really good side, I think. As long as they have all their kind of stars back, I think they're going to be a very tough team whenever it comes to finals. But like you've seen the whole year, I think everyone's pretty even keel. And the AFL will be pretty happy with that, with the opportunities of people trying to make it into the 8 and then excitement around it.
Mason, still Sidebottom's had another good season and a good month of footy. He was influential yesterday, wasn't he, with the 26 touches and the effect that he had in that result. He is likely to go around again in your eyes?
I hope so. I don't make contracts, nor do I deal with money. Otherwise, I'll be on a lot bigger pay package. But yeah, still, he's one of those people. I think you look at his experience. You look at last night. I think he was on Lockie Neal, one of the best players in the league, and his ability to help out with the team and do the team role in that sense is pretty incredible. And he's done that for the past couple of weeks for us. And, we value him highly. He's kind of one of those glue guys at the club. He always kind of makes a joke here and there to kind of lighten up the mood. And, he's someone that we really enjoy at the club. So, I'm not going to put any words into anyone's mouth of the club to not get in trouble. But as a player and, as a teammate, I'd love to have him there.
The votes yesterday will be 2 blokes fighting out for Collingwood's best and fairest, I would have thought. Nick Dacos and Darcy Cameron, I think, were 2 outstanding players again yesterday. Jeremy Howe's marking behind the ball was outstanding. And Joey Dano, he had some bad moments, but he also had some great moments, and I think he was Brisbane's best player.
All right, and of course, Mason Cox here as part of your ambassadorship with the Sporting Globe, and you're going to be back on the handball a little later on with your teammate TJ to tell us a little bit more about that. And you might have a few surprises in store for some of the guys.
Yeah, so we've got 5 levels of hot wings. We're going to try to get some of y'all to enjoy. But now I've got TJ on, who's an incredible person. But yeah, the Sporting Globe, they've got a new event space over there and restaurant in Bridge Road. It's a $3 million renovation. Pretty amazing what they've done. They've got virtual darts and all these kind of different games you can play. And yeah, it's been an incredible kind of change. Like we did Mad Monday last year, and I think they had to shut it down after our Mad Monday and then do a bit of renovations, and now they've reopened. So no, it's a beautiful place, and yeah, highly recommend anyone to go.
All right, well, let's hope your Mad Monday is in early October.
Agreed.
And for you too, TJ.
Sorry?
And for you, so you don't have to wash the windows.
Yeah, I've got to talk to you about that too. That's why I'm a little bit dirty. Because
so confused.
You're confused. Yeah. Your thought.
Mid-year, I suggested that you guys could miss the 8, and TJ said it won't.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
And TJ said it won't happen. If it does happen, I'll wash cars for 2 hours on Punt Road. Wash car windows for 2 hours on Punt Road.
With a squeegee.
So, with a squeegee. So,
free of
for
charge.
both our sakes, let's hope we're not.
Yeah. So you can understand why I'm a little miffed at the moment. All righty, we're going to take a break on the Sunday Footy Show. We'll see you a little later on in the handball. Coming up next, it's Brownie's quiz. What's the theme?
The Olympics. The Olympics, Tony. Hope you've been watching. You have, and it's all about the Olympics.
Nice throw. All right, let's come back right after this.
It's time for everybody's favourite Brownies quiz, brought to you by Sportsbet. $500 on the line, and a very good morning to you too, Tony Barber. So who are we playing for?
Jay Curd from Mandurah in WA.
That's BT territory, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Thank you. Sloane Wilson in Pennington, South Australia.
I'm playing for Brian Barley from Euroa in Victoria.
Great part of the world. In fact, we're going to catch up with a young fella who lives up that way and played up that way.
Come on.
I'm playing for Estella Hikazoni. I hope I've said that right, Estella. Estella Hikazoni from Chelsea, which I think is Lee Matthews' territory.
$500 coming to whoever wins today for the home viewer, thanks to Sportsbet. Any other territories you want to talk about where Damo's from?
Yeah, you're on real dangerous territory at the moment, mate.
Question number 1. So it's all about the Olympics. And Tony, I expect you to know a lot because you've been there.
Okay.
Arissa True won gold for Australia in skateboarding.
Sorry, what's that?
How old was she?
What was the question?
How old was she?
Chad would have smashed him.
14 is correct, Kano.
Can you speak properly?
He got it. Everyone else heard it.
Yeah, but Kane's on the same
Famous Faces question, this one. What is breakdancing sensation Ray Gunn's full...
Oh, no,
What's right? Full name, -1, Tony.
Rachel Gunn.
Rachel Gunn is right, Damo. Famous Faces.
Let's go with, please, Brownie. Let's go with Thorpe, please. Oh, no, sorry, Kathy Freeman. Kathy Freeman in the middle. Yeah.
+2, Damo.
Love Kathy.
Which swimmer was Australia's most successful athlete in Paris, winning 3 gold medals?
Incorrect.
What's right?
McEwen.
Incorrect.
I thought it was Kaylee McEwen.
So did I.
On the sheet here it says Molly O'Callaghan.
Okay.
And -1. Bad luck.
No, I
You've
didn't
been
answer
particularly bad, considering you were there for 2
just
weeks.
get on
I didn't answer that. I just...
You got all 3 wrong so far. I know I haven't answered mine. It's just your -2. It should be -3.
I actually didn't answer that.
Sportsbet Sunday stat question. Australia won 18 golds. How many overall medals did we take home?
And I felt like I was
I'll say
nude.
48.
Everyone closest to the pin. Go.
48.
53.
44.
Well, I was going to say 42.
53, Damo was right. Well done. Which champion forward spent his time commentating the equestrian?
And I felt
in
like I
Paris?
was
Matthew
nude.
Pavlich.
Matthew Pavlich is right. Famous Faces question. Just test your buzzer over there.
I'll throw it at you in a minute, mate, because I'm really not in the mood.
Who recently became Australia's most prolific gold medal winner?
Thanks, Chompers. Chomp.
What Ariane Tippins?
-1.
Emma McKeon.
That is right, Damo, and you get a look at the board.
Let's go with Thorpe this time, please, Brownie.
Thorpe at the top. You get a run on, Damo, and here are the run-ons.
Could be dangerous.
Time starts now. In round 21, how many points did Port Adelaide score before they scored their first point?
Did they play at the Olympics?
They scored 54.
Incorrect, 71. 5 players have had 40 disposal games since our last show. Name one of them.
Nick Dacos.
That is correct. Who kicked the winning point for Essendon against Fremantle?
Too slow.
Too slow.
McGovern had the chance. It was Sam Durham. McGovern had the chance to win it after the siren. Who kicked it to him? Is it tough today?
It's tough. No.
Mark Pittonet. Who kicked back-to-back last quarter goals for the Giants to beat Brisbane?
That was Jones.
Yeah, Darcy Jones is right. So 1, 2 right and 3 wrong, Damo. Okay. Which AFL player was not allowed time off to go to watch his
And I felt
girlfriend?
like I was
Buckley.
nude.
Jack Buckley is right. Girlfriend compete in Paris. Famous Faces question. Which AFL player's mother has competed at 2 Olympic Games?
And I felt like I was nude.
Max Holmes is right. Lordo.
Lordo.
Famous Faces. Here comes Matthew.
I'll go Gazy.
+1. That is good.
Lordo.
Okay, let's have a score
Lordo.
check. And it is Damo on 3, Kano on 0, Lordo 4, and TJ 4. That's -4.
Was TJ there at the Olympics?
You would have thought so. You would have thought he would have
I'm
just...
jet lagged.
He would have just soaked it in.
Just one question.
Not getting 4 wrong.
Could have just got one right.
Question number 9. Jack Tringove's sister, Jessica,
Chad would have smashed him.
Sinead Diver.
competed in 2 Olympic Games in which event?
Marathon.
Marathon is right, Tony.
There was going to be a trick there, but there wasn't.
Who am I? I'm a former Olympian. I hold the Guinness World Record for the fastest egg and spoon race. 5 points. I've won 2 Olympic medals in the track event, in a track event.
Thanks, John.
I'm just going to go Raylene Boyle.
Incorrect. -1, Tony. I was one of the big freeze sliders this year for 3 points. For 2 points, I'm the only Australian to ever win gold in 100-metre hurdles.
Walk Sally Pearson.
Well done, Wackfright. That is correct. And you are winning for who? $500?
Jay Curd in Mandurah, WA.
Well done, $500 coming your way thanks to Sportsbet. If you want to enter, there's not much time to go. 9.com.au/AFL quiz it is, but it should be Brownie's quiz. But good effort today, mate. The amount of time you spent over there, that is unbelievable.
You're an idiot, Nathan. I was focused on 2 particular events, OK? What were you doing?
Hosting here.
Asking Nathan Broad when he's going to come back?
Oh.
Yes.
We'll take a break. We'll be back right after this on the Sunday Footy Show. Welcome back to the Sunday Footy Show. So much to take out of the latest showdown encounter. Lordo, you can kick us off.
Oh, it's a wonderful win for Port Adelaide. Like, they are in fantastic form. I don't think people are giving them the respect they deserve, including me, I suppose, in terms of their premiership credentials. And it was a good win. Big last quarter for them. Zach Butters, our guest, 42 disposals, by far and away best on ground. Rosie, Wines, Horn Francis were all big. And I thought Jordan Dawson was the Crows' best player on the night. But Zach Butters does join us, the medalist again last night. Congratulations, Zach, on your performance. And just for us who have never played in a showdown, talk us through just how much it means to you guys to get that win in a big game like that.
Yeah, it's definitely a big rivalry over here, and we really love playing in them. And the whole state really rallies behind it, whether you go for Crows or Port Adelaide. There's a lot of passion about it. So, yeah, big games you love being involved in.
On the Josh Rochelle week that he had then, Zach, like how much did that fuel you guys, and does it give you any extra incentive when a player comes out and says what he says?
Yeah, I guess we spoke about it as leaders of the footy club and also as the playing group, and we just really wanted to focus on us and what makes us a really good team and what's coming for us in the future weeks of the year. And yeah, I feel like we didn't really want to buy in to that off-field talk as much, and we just wanted to go out there and try to get a win and focus on our season.
So when you said you and the leaders spoke about it, you specifically spoke about his comments on the 2 radio stations and leading into the game.
I wouldn't say just his comments, but more just about us as a group and what we can control, and sort of not buying into getting too overhyped or too emotional about it, and just focusing on what makes us a really good footy team. And I feel like we've kept things pretty simple the last 4, 5, 6 weeks, and that's what's had us playing some really good footy, so we just really wanted to stick to that.
Zach, it wasn't that long ago that your coach was being booed, talking about missing the finals and maybe Ken being moved on. How have you turned it around in the last 8 weeks?
Yeah, I think as a playing group, we've just done it together. We spoke about not riding the lows when they get low, and when they get too high, not riding the highs. So just keeping things well balanced and really all buying in together. And yeah, I think the most pleasing thing about it is that everyone's brought in and sort of everyone chipping in and playing their role. And we've had a really well-rounded 22 performers every week, and that's probably the most thing I'm proud of.
Zach, it was an emotional moment in the third quarter when Isaac Rankin was collected by Dan Houston, and the follow-up to it, the addressing of the moment at three-quarter time by yourself and other leaders of the Port Adelaide Footy Club. I know you can't comment on what may happen from here, but can you just take us through your perspective, please, as to that moment itself and what you said to Dan at three-quarter time?
Yeah, definitely a high emotion scenario. The showdowns are emotional as they is, so that obviously added a bit to it. But yeah, and I hope Isaac's all right. He's a superstar player, and no one wants to see anyone go through that or be in that position. So wishing him a speedy recovery. But as Dan, I just wanted to support him as a teammate and as a mate off the field as well, and just make sure that he knew we were going to support him for the rest of the game, and just for him to try and still play good footy and help us win the game of football. So yeah, as a footy club, we'll throw our arms around Dan as well.
And as a leader of the club, is there a fear that you may not have him for the remainder of the season right now?
Yeah, I think it's in the MRO's hands and how they judge it and what they decide to do with it. So, yeah, I guess it's hard for me to comment on and sort of judge what will be the outcome. But, yeah, we definitely want him out there with us. He's one of our most important players.
Felt like they lost their composure after that. They gave away a number of off-the-ball free kicks and 50-metre penalties. Now, you yourself have been criticised for losing your cool at times this year, as has Jason Horne-Francis. So take us inside the discussions on-field in the blowout and the fallout from that incident where you held your nerve and focused on the footy and they lost their composure.
Yeah, in a way, it was a good test to me. I think it's something I've been working on along with Jason as well. And me being a bit older than him, I've sort of taken it on board to try and actually lead him and sort of not let him down in that area. So, yeah, working with some Kenny and Kari around the footy club and just being more balanced in them scenarios. And, yeah, we just had a quick chat as a whole group and said, let's just focus on the contest and the footy and let the rest sort itself out post that. So, yeah, we just really wanted to win the game of footy, and I thought we had a good mindset to do that post that incident.
So you're now the most fined player in the history of the game, I'm told. Has the club spoken to you around that, or they say, no, this is what makes you such a special player because you play on the edge? How has that been handled internally at Port Adelaide?
No, definitely Kenny and CD and Kari have definitely spoken to me about it. And there's ones that aren't acceptable from my end, and then there's some that are more footy incidents and whatnot. So the ones off the ball where I get a bit frustrated and angry, they're the ones I can control, and they're the ones I've been working on. And yeah, just trying to smile and have some fun and not get too flustered and carried away. So, but yeah, there's definitely some room there, and I'm not shying away from that I can be better in that space.
See, Zach, normally when you have a win, you come on the show and you talk about how great the game was and how great the finals are going to be and everything. Sorry, mate, we've given you an absolute grilling. Seen any good movies lately?
I went to the movies with my mum the other night. We watched Twister. So that was about that's pretty good. Didn't mind that. A bit of popcorn was nice.
Okay.
Well, TJ, I'm about to give him a 10 votes.
Oh,
That's how
good,
he
yes.
was, so he can smile at this, because I haven't given a 10 all year, but this man is a special player and, as I said, just so tough, skillful and tough. 42 disposals, 20 contested. He lays tackles. He does everything, this man. So he kind of Rosie, Horn, Francis and Dawson.
Won the Lexus last year, did Zach Butters as well, making a late charge. Now, the prize pack has been updated and it is even more extensive. You're off to Gumbaya World, where water slides, thrill rides and wildlife collide, Brownie.
Quokkas.
The Quokkas are there, unlimited access to the family pass thanks to the team at Gumbaya World. The J-Labs, there they are. One pair of mini J-Buds thanks to J-Lab. They're true wireless and pack over 5 hours of playtime. There's the Clutch & Co. You'll be best dressed on the golf course with a quarter zip top and pants from Clutch & Co. And a new addition, as we'll kit you out with Cat star Brad Close's clothing brand. Be Close, your swing, your style. There's the Callaway Tour golf balls and a cap, thanks to our great mates at Callaway. The Travis Matthews, another 2 hats for you and the playing group, thanks to Travis Matthews. True Linkswear, the golf shoes that are so good you want to wear them everywhere. Check them out, truelinkswear.com.au. There's the bar fridge, custom design your own bar fridge. As we scroll across to the Aquilas, premium quality footwear since 1958. The Cookie Box, Melbourne's finest artisan cookie shop. Treat yourself to a special delivery thanks to Cookie Box. A meal with our friends at Platform 28. Next time you're in the Docklands, head in there and tell them Lordo sent you. A pair of Rick's Eyewear, eyewear that inspires confidence, especially the Soho Cherries, rickseyewear.com.au, and elevate your wardrobe with the latest streetwear style from St. Goliath.
Wow, there you go, Zach. It was worthwhile, mate. Facing all those curly ones.
Thanks, boys. Thanks for having me on. Cheers, chompers. Chomp, chomp.
Oh, brilliant.
You're being
Funny
nice
when you
to
don't
him as well.
expect it, isn't it?
Oh,
It's least expected.
Oh, it's hysterical. It's hysterical. So teeth jokes are okay. Teeth jokes are okay, are they? All right.
You have lovely teeth. You have lovely teeth.
All right, good on you, mate. And you're welcome here any time at all, Zach. Good man, good sense of humour, and that's what we like in football, Kane, someone with a sense of humour.
Yep.
All right, let's move on now, because the Giants are hitting a real purple patch at the moment. They're certainly enjoying one, but it's green that we're going to talk about in detail.
Yeah, there's a couple of greens. Tom Green had 40, but they're in really good form, the Giants. They've been challenged and they've been doing enough to hold on. I think it's 6 in a row, Damo, maybe now, and they knocked off a side who was in good form yesterday. Game was in the balance yesterday, but here is Tom Green, 13 clearances, 40 touches. He probably started the season a little bit slowly, but yesterday, I mean, he's just a huge man and a big midfielder. And I think now that he's got Cornelio and Kelly and the like around him and Callaghan, he's the one that goes inside, does the damage in there, and then gets it out to the outside as we're seeing.
Well, he had support yesterday. I know the game was close, but the Giants had more support through the midfield. They had 8 players with 20-plus disposals. And you look at Fremantle, were 54 down yesterday on total disposals. Only Brayshaw and Sarong got over 20. So 2 players compared with 8. They just had an even spread across the
There's
board.
another 10. Yeah, there's another 10. There's as good a performance as I've seen from anyone this year. 29, 3 goals, 13 tackles. He had 7 clearances, and Hogan was enormous. He had 10 shots at goal, kicked 6. No answers, Brendan Cox. He was all at sea. Brayshaw had another 40, having a really strong end to the season, and Tom Green for his 40 as well.
Right, good work, guys. We're going to take a break. When we come back, it is Lordo's Deep Dive, and the theme is...
Hoodoos, off the back of Mac Andrew breaking the interstate hoodoo last week.
That's all coming up next.
Last Saturday night, Mac Andrew broke a hoodoo for the Gold Coast Suns when they stopped this poor interstate record of theirs. So it was big. You saw the relief on Damien Harvick in the coach's box afterwards, and what it means potentially for them next year to maybe go on the road and win a bit more consistently. But unfortunately for the Bombers, they've now had the last 3 shots after the siren for a loss against the side was against them. So it's Mac Andrew. This one was unbelievable from that man, Dan Houston, who's been in the news. That pretty much derailed Essendon's season last year, where they were sitting top 4. And then this one, who could forget that one from Jamie Elliott? So they've had some heartbreak, the Bombers. So hope their hoodoo can be broken next year.
Alrighty, one of the most celebrated hoodoos was that involving Collingwood, i.e. the Collie Wobbles. The Pies won the flag in 1958, and it took until 1990, 32 years later, before they finally broke that hoodoo. And in doing so, it was Louis who buried the Collie Wobbles for good.
Deep in the heart of Collingwood, traffic came to a standstill. Hoddle Street was closed, and the faithful turned out to farewell the Collie Wobbles. And who better to supervise the funeral than the kiss of death, the man who invented the term.
This will be the happiest funeral of all times. We want everybody laughing and cheering.
The men who'd been there and suffered, Big Ray Gavlik, Des Tuddenham, Ray Shaw and Peter Moore joined Bob Rose in burying Mr. Collie Wobble. Into the casket went the news reports of the failures, and then it was buried, fittingly on the half-forward flank in front of the social club with 10,000 fans cheering the interment.
I invented the Collie Wobbles and today I buried them. The Collie Wobbles are 12 feet under and they'll never rise again at Victoria Park.
These are the scenes Collingwood supporters will always cherish. The premiership glory of October the 6th. That silver cup in the right hands after so many near misses. But there were those who were on hand this afternoon just to make sure that the Collie Wobbles were dead and finally buried. Stephen Phillips, National 9 News.
Wow, the late, great Stephen Phillips with that report there. He was one out of the box, Stephen. He was an absolute ripper. And also the late, great Louis Richards.
That was amazing vision. First time I've seen that. It was brilliant. This one goes 56 years, this hoodoo. It was hoodoo. It was Norm Smith being sacked from Melbourne. And this was the 56 years that it took to break that, because poor old Norm, he'd taken the D's to 6 flags in 10 years. The last was in 1964 and he was sacked in 1965, and the Demons didn't salute until 2001 in Perth for this famous grand final 21, where they stormed home in the last half. The game was in the balance at half time.
It was. It was 19 points behind in the third quarter.
Oliver at his best. Max Gawn, the skipper, up there. A strange premiership in Perth, but still just as special. What a football team they were in 2021.
Hawthorn and Geelong are one of the great modern rivals, but it was Jeff Kennett who put a curse on the Hawks when he went on offsiders with this.
What they don't have, I don't think, is the quality of some of our players, but they don't have the psychological drive that we have. We've beaten Geelong when it mattered over the last 5 years.
Tomo, as a coach, and you sit back and your president just fires the first shot, how do you feel?
Well, as a coach, you say, no problems, and he's got no dramas. But as soon as I walked into the room with the president, I'd probably grab him by the throat and say, what in the hell do you think you're doing?
So then 11 games went by and Geelong just won game after game, and they were big games as well. And they were all close, and the Cats just continued to get the job done, and the Kennett curse became something that the media grabbed a hold of, and it was written in the papers. And you see Jeff leaving early there, then the tomahawk after the siren puts them 2 points up, and it wasn't until many, many years later and 11 games when Burgoyne in the 2013 prelim was able to salute and put them away here. And that was the first time. 11 wins, Lordo, for the Cats over the Hawks, and it was the Kennett curse.
Yeah, it was a big moment in footy, wasn't it, when that happened? Now, this is a hoodoo of a different type. Lewis Jetta took 15 matches and 19 attempts, or 20 attempts actually, before he kicked a goal. 19 behinds were registered by that man, who was an explosive player, a premiership player for the Sydney Swans, and then he went and played for West Coast as well. But 19 cracks at a goal, Kane, before the first one went through in game number 15 way back in 2010.
Amazing. Oh, he thought he had that one too.
Jeez, he was good to watch, wasn't he? He was so good to watch.
Terrific stuff. Some not so terrific hoodoos there, but hoodoos are meant to be broken, and some of those certainly have, if not all of them. Good stuff, Lordo, again. Deep dive back again next week. We'll be back right after this.
Can I say, Hank Bolger, MD, I'm looking forward to assisting you in this operation.
And you are?
Dr. Pink, anaesthetist.
I was just happy to be part of it. I was the doctor. I was Dr. Pink. This was something different, and I knew I couldn't act, but you didn't really need to be able to act. You just needed to roll up and, you know, look lovingly at Croft because I was his love interest.
That's very professional, Dr. Pink. Did I mention I'm single?
Believe you did.
I think I only did 2 episodes before my coach at Richmond, because I'd just gone to Richmond, might have been 2004, put the stop on it because it was creating too much attention at the football club, and Spud wasn't overly happy with it.
While the Footy Show's latest segment might be comedy, Richmond is taking a dramatic approach to it all.
I remember seeing a news report from Tony Jones. It made me, I felt, look a bit silly.
Nathan Brown was today summoned to a meeting with coach Danny Frawley, keen for the lowdown on just what his role is in the show. It's understood the Tigers only learned of Brown's involvement today when it was raised at a meeting of their leadership group.
I didn't know Tony Jones and I rang him. I remember having to pull over my car. I got his phone number and I rang him and I said, mate, we're meant to be on the same team. And I still remember his words back to me. He goes, we're not on the same team, mate.
Was that a bit of mayonnaise or not?
Yeah, a bit of mayonnaise. A bit of mayonnaise.
And we're still not on the same team.
Bit of mayonnaise.
You
foolish
You didn't take a
lying
backward
little-
step.
I took a backward step.
No, you didn't take a
No,
backward
I
step.
did not
in the
take a
phone call.
backward step. No, I thought the
You're as
gall of
belligerent
this...
as you always are.
Is that the origins of the angst between you two?
It could be.
Yeah.
It could be.
I just wish that when you rang, Google was around. I would have had a better idea as to who I was talking to.
Good one, Tone.
No, it was tough times. They were tense times for us, I've got to say, but fortunately things have improved marginally. All right, let's take a look at the next match. This is Geelong and St Kilda, and Geelong fans will be sitting there this morning scratching their heads thinking, why did this happen?
They certainly will be. They were well up and they were playing some nice football. I thought that Callum Wilkie was outstanding and 8 intercept marks. Higgins was good. It was only when St Kilda started to move the ball really quickly that Geelong's midfield was found wanting for leg speed. But Callum Wilkie was the man most likely, Lord Oak. He's been brilliant. So too Darcy Wilson.
Yeah, and this is the story. I think the youngster Darcy Wilson in the season that he's put together, pick 18, I think he was, just turned 19 years of age and he's doing this. So I know, Lordo, you've got some thoughts about the rising star, but 25 last night, 2 goals, and I thought he was the one with Wilkie, as you mentioned, that really got them going in that third term.
They both are, Wilkie and Wilson. Marshall was good and Humphries for the Cats.
You know, one of the things I missed more than anything whilst I was away?
What?
Media Oka.
Oh, yes.
Media Oka. And it's with great pleasure that we now roll the tape for this latest edition. Oh, that's coming up right after the break. Welcome back. You're watching the Sunday Footy Show. Media Oka not too far away. I'm very, very excited about that.
Got an exciting announcement this morning as we've got a sponsor for our show. The official pie sponsor is Paddy Pies. So a thank you to TJ, Brownie and Damo, the way you smash those pies down every Sunday morning. Paddy's Pies have become the official sponsor.
That's amazing.
Pie sponsor of the Sunday
All
Footy
right,
Show.
stop
I
it.
thought it would have been Damo and Brownie, but unfortunately this is just you this morning.
Oh, can you?
TJ.
I was going to say,
that was this morning. It is. That's this morning's vision.
What are you laughing at?
Well, you once got a camera out the back when I tried to sneak one about 6 or 8 weeks ago. But
well, at least I'm open about it.
And Brownie, you put a few down this morning.
I did too, yeah.
So I don't know why it was on you, TJ. That wasn't.
Exactly. But anyway,
I love the pies in here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paddy's. Great to have you on board. Let's have a look at the next match, and this is Melbourne and the Gold Coast. It was pretty tight there for a while until the Demons just went bang in the latter
They've
stage.
been so good at home. Ed Langdon, 37 disposals. Viney, we've already spoken about on the program. Rivers going into the middle has been really good. Flanders playing a little bit more forward, still had the ball but kicked 2 goals. But Kane, it was the 2 guys forward, and Melbourne have had this problem all year. Turner and Van Rooyen kicked 7 goals between them, and Melbourne look like a dangerous proposition when they've got players forward of the ball who can mark the
Been
footy.
waiting for this for a while. Big Disco. So he kicked 4. He's only 22 years of age, so there's definitely something there to have a look at in time. Sometimes these forwards take a little bit of time, but the talent is there. Van Rooyen, we know, is going to be an excellent key forward in time. Still a very, very young man. And then Petty, I mean, he kicked 6 goals for the year, Harrison Petty. Disastrous move forward until this game where actually he was able to kick multiple goals. He kicked 3 and Melbourne responded to a difficult week.
Viney, 9, Langdon, Rivers, Flanders, and the win of the Lou Richards medal couldn't get there without a great team behind them. Like the team at Lexus of Blackburn, whose dedication to customer service means you'll enjoy every visit to their cafe-style showroom. See Andrew Moore and the team at Lexus of Blackburn for all your Lexus needs. And that leaves the leaderboard in this state at the moment. So it is tight at the top. Dacos and Paddy Cripps plays today. Isaac Heaney, 102. Errol Gould and Zach Merritt would not have voted the other night. So that is the Lou Richards medal board as it sits. And they're all playing for this. They'll be driving home in a fully loaded Lexus LBX. Thanks to Andrew Moore and the team at Lexus Blackburn. Just like our winner, you'll make a dynamic impact when you arrive in the Lexus LBX, a compact, hybrid, sporty package without compromise. Test drive the new LBX at Lexus of Blackburn today.
What a beautiful looking vehicle, and it's going to be a very, very worthy winner. Who will it be? We'll find out in the not too distant future. Right now, though, we'll find out who's been targeted by this little man next on Media Oka. Roll the video.
Hello, I'm Nathan Brown, and welcome to Media Oka.
AFL 360's Gerard Whateley was the star of the Olympics, but before he left, something tells me he was already dreaming of Paris.
See you tomorrow night. Let's head to where are we heading?
Midweek tackle.
Midweek tackle.
Glad I'm here.
But lucky his replacement was switched on.
And you are turning newsbreaker at the moment. You've got a bit of news for us.
What am I doing?
You're telling us something in relation to your mate, Buddy Franklin.
You're not meant to mention the name. He might have a new gig up on the Gold Coast.
Oh, right.
But they're unveiling it tomorrow.
Oh, loved your
Well
work
done.
tonight, George.
Well
It's
done.
time now for On the Couch.
Way to break the embargo. Thank you, Kath.
The ladder predictor can trip up the best of us, even the experts.
If Collingwood win, they will. Carlton. If Carlton win, of course, they'll be. They'll be.
No, that's if Carlton lose.
If Carlton lose, they'll be down to 8th. I can't read my own notes.
In Hutto's defence, it's often best to play it safe, unlike Ben Dixon.
They're not just going to win a final, they're going to get to a prelim, so you're going to give every opportunity to win it.
They're going to get to a prelim.
They will get to a prelim this year. So if we go through it right now on form, you'd have to say win, possibly another win. Adelaide, St Kilda gettable, Fremantle, that's a dicey one. Marvel, Gold Coast haven't won at home. And then we've got Sydney.
So they're top four. So you think they're definite top four? They'll finish top four?
Oh, they're 100% a lock for top four.
Where's the accountability? Put your hand up. I got it wrong.
Gettable has been taking the footy world by storm lately. And if you haven't seen the show yet, well, it's an interesting one.
Darcy Fogarty from the Crows is going to be a really interesting one.
Reef McInnes being an interesting one. Noam Raz is maybe the interesting one.
Braden Campbell's a really interesting one. Tristan Xerri, another interesting one. It's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, interesting one.
Charlie Ballard's an interesting one.
Jayden Laverty's an interesting one. Jack Martin's an interesting one.
Mark Hayne's an interesting one. Riley Garcia's an interesting one. Tim Emery's an interesting one.
We don't think Marcus Bontempelli is going anywhere, but he is an interesting one.
Jay Clark on the Sunday rub suffered from a case of mistaken identity.
Rats is the boss of the coaching structure there. Is there any word on Ash Hansen? Is he going to go through the process? Has he begun that process with West Coast?
Ash Hansen?
Yes.
He's at the Blues, so it's going to trouble me.
And finally, there's no doubt there's some top talent over at 7. You've got BT and Richo, but what about JB?
All right, what about the Magpies? What about the Blues? What about the Tigers? What about the Bombers? What about Fremantle? What about the Hawks? What about the Hawks? What about the Demons? What about the Demons? What about the Saints? So what about the Saints? What about the Selwoods? What about you, Trent? What about you? What about the back six? What about the Gabba? What about out and about? What about this one? What about that?
I'm Nathan Brown, and what about Media Open?
Very good, Dave.
That was worth coming
Take it for what it is.
Take it the way it is. It's just it's a joke, Just don't get too upset about it.
Who are you most worried about out of that?
Jay Clark.
No.
JB?
No, not JB. See the funny side of that.
I didn't see Riley on your show last night. Did he know what was coming?
No, I think it was a planned break.
Oh, was that okay?
Yeah.
All righty, while we debate that, we'll take a break. Back with more of the Sunday Footy Show right after this.
I'm Kadeen Coleman's #1 fan. My name's Bernice and I'm also Kadeen's auntie. And I'm always the loudest at the game.
She's always yelling out.
I remember the year that he didn't get drafted. Heartbreaking. Made him question whether he still wanted to do that or not. So
There was a period there I was like, do I really want to play footy?
that had me a little worried.
And like Marty said, there's going to be setbacks in life, so why not just give it another crack? And came back the year after, played with the Brisbane Lions reserve team, got top 4 in best and fairest, which is pretty good.
Proudest moment would definitely be him making his debut. When he told me, I was just ecstatic. I've been on the journey with him.
Yeah, like she said, been there since day one. I'm Kadeen Coleman, and Bernice is my #1 fan.
I love that. Great initiative there by our friends at Ewing. We'll roll those out in the coming weeks. Kane, who would your #1 fan be?
I don't have a lot, TJ. But my mum just texted me. She just said, so good to have the footy show back on. You're a star. So I'd have to say my mum.
Wrong number?
No, right number.
OK, all right. Good on you, Pam. Thanks for that.
Definitely not Graham.
Why?
He likes Chad.
Oh,
He
he's
likes
Chad. Yeah, of course, yeah. Hey, I know who your number one fan would be. That would be Luke Beveridge, but he's got other things on his mind at the moment.
He does, TJ. There's a sense of resignation from Luke Beveridge. It has been for some time, it must be said, about the future of their player, Bailey Smith. And as you heard during the week, it's becoming very real now with what happens there.
When a player hasn't told you that he's staying, then, as time goes on, your confidence levels start to wane a little bit.
Brownie obviously has not played this season with a knee injury. Geelong is still the front runner for him next year. Do you like that combo?
And perfect for Geelong. I spoke about at the top of the program how slow their midfielders at the moment. They're relying on Patrick Dangerfield. Those comments from Luke Beveridge just tell me he understands he's out the door and Geelong will be a perfect fit.
Yep. North coach Alistair Clarkson had an interesting media week. On Thursday made some comments about players that the club, North Melbourne, may be interested in. And then on Friday he had some even stronger comments about those same players.
Just unfortunate for players and clubs, really, that there's just so much speculation, and but we always leave that to our list management staff. We never comment publicly about any player that we're either trying to pursue or otherwise. I don't think that's fair on the player. I don't think it's fair on the club. I don't think it's fair on the opposition club.
All the guys that we actually want are probably contracted their clubs because they're required for a reason. It's just like, can you extract one or two of them out? Jack's part of that, but you mentioned them all last segment.
So no comments on Thursday, but our man Kane got the answer out of him. Interesting ploy.
Yeah, and probably the right one. I think to go after someone that has at least 2 to 3 seasons left in them. So you mentioned Callum Ward, but the Viney type of player who walks into your best 15 players and can influence from a standards and a leadership point of view would be beneficial.
Lordo, Friday night, Dyson Heppel had been known during the week not playing again next year, wasn't given a farewell game, and it was quite emotional with the pre-match ceremony around him. You were very strong on 3AW about your views that he should have been given that farewell game.
Yeah, I said I think he's been as influential as any person at that club for the last 10 to 15 years, and I don't think he would have hindered performance. There's 3 or 4 players that he is equal to in that team. Brad Scott's open saying, no, I want to pick my best side. So he wasn't in Brad Scott's best side, but I think for everything he is to the club, I think he should have played in front of the Melbourne fans for the last time.
All right, well said, Lordo, and good stuff, Damo. Before we go to the break, I just want to tell you about this. This being, of course, the My Room raffle. Now, this is huge, this. It's the My Room Mitsubishi raffle. Your chance to win a Mitsubishi Outlander worth $45,000. Now, use the QR code on the screen there, OK? So if you're quick enough, use the QR code, or you can jump online, raffletix.com.au. That's the 2 ways you can enter here. Tickets are only $20 each, and every dollar, I stress, goes to supporting sick kids and their families. And we'll have a lot more to say about what we're doing for My Room in the coming weeks as well. We've got a really special grand final week edition of My Room. The details will flow on as the days do. So we'll take a break here on the Sunday Footy Show. Still plenty to come, including a star-studded Magpie lineup in the handball. Yeah, Footy Furnace tonight, of course, on 9 now. You can catch that live at 8 p.m. with the boys there. You've got Tom Morris, you've got Lee Matthews, you've got Jimmy Bartell, and so much to discuss each and every Sunday night. Footy Furnace, and you'll catch it here. Don't forget, also coming up on 9 in the not-so-distant future is the Paralympics on the back of the Olympics. And joining us now is a man who'll be striving for gold with our wheelchair team, that being the Steelers. I'm talking about James McKillen. Good on you, James. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, TJ. How are you?
Yeah, going well, thanks. You're going to have an absolute ball over there. And when we talk about gold medal favourites, I think we've got every reason to regard you guys as gold medal favourites, given your world ranking at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. We're pretty confident that we're going to be able to get a result over there. We really want to go over and do our best. We're currently the world champions and currently the number one ranked team in the world. So, yeah, we're a fair chance to have a good result, but there's 8 teams going in our competition, and six of us could win on the day, I reckon. All
right, so we're talking about rugby as your sport now. It wasn't always your sport. It was Australian rules football. You grew up on a dairy farm near Echuca, but playing country football in 2014, your life was turned upside down. Can you tell us that story?
Yeah, it was, mate. It was April 2014. It was the first game of the season. I was playing for the Albury Tigers against the Yarrawonga Pigeons. 7 minutes into the second quarter, I put my head over the footy like I'd done 1,000 times before, ran into an opposition player's leg at the wrong angle, and that was it, mate. suffered a spinal cord injury, spent just under a year in hospital trying to get myself right, and then about 4 or 5 years back home before I felt confident and independent in my abilities to be able to go on and pursue other avenues. So it was a fair journey and took a lot of support from family and friends. But yeah, I was very lucky to get through it all.
And James, can you tell us why you come to rugby? Why rugby's become the new sport? How did that come about?
Yeah, so it was the back end of COVID, and I was looking to get out and get back involved in some sport in some capacity. And I went down to our local competition in Melbourne, filled in for a couple of games, and one of the fellas there who was part of the Australian setup said, you might want to come down and have a look at training with the Australian team. So I did that and went along there, and within 4 months I was off to Texas with Australia's development team. I made my debut for Australia after 8 months, and 11 months after starting the sport, I was part of the World Championship winning team. So it's been a wild ride, and I've been playing the sport for 2.5 years now, and I'm off to my first Paralympics. So yeah, very excited for the opportunity.
That is a wild ride, James. So short a time frame for you to go from just experimenting with it to being amongst the world's best.
Yeah, mate, it's been an absolute roller coaster. I've been very lucky with the support that I've got from the coaches as part of the Australian setup, as well as the players. We've got an amazing group of athletes who are headed over to Paris, and I just feel so lucky to be a part of the team, and yeah, hopefully have some success over there.
And James, you're a big Bombers fan. Have you got any idea how you can fix them?
Well, I reckon if they play me out of the square on a big $500,000 a year contract, we're a chance. But no, I went down to the game on Friday night. There's still some positive signs for the next year. I reckon we've made improvements on previous years, but it was a bit of a tough watch Friday night, unfortunately.
And who is your all-time, think about this, James, who is your all-time favourite Essendon player?
I thought you were going to say panellist, TJ. Favourite all-time player was definitely James Hird. He was the one I grew up with a number on the back. But, you know, Lloydie was a close second. My best mate when I was growing up as a kid, he had Lloydie's number on his back. So, yeah, I don't know if you boys have seen much of wheelchair rugby, but we hit as hard as Lloydie does when he ran through Brad Sewell that day.
I have watched some of it out at the hangar. Where you do, is that where you do your training, James?
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, so tough.
It is, mate.
Yeah, I watched it a couple
is.
of weeks ago. Amazing.
And of course, we'll see a lot more of that.
Yeah,
you and your teammates in action, James, tomorrow night on 9, 8:40 p.m. Forged in Steel, the story of the Steelers, and it'll give us some indication as to why you do go in. I'm not going to say gold medal favourites, but you're certainly right up there, because if I say gold medal favourites, I don't want to moz you. So all the very best. You head off on Wednesday. So when's your first day of competition? Do we know?
Yeah, opening ceremony is the 28th, and we'll kick off first game on the 29th, which for Australian viewers is going to be 7:30 in the evening, so prime time.
Yeah, great stuff. And who is your favourite panellist out of interest, James?
It'd have to be TJ, of course.
Oh, good on you, mate. Thanks very much for that. See you, Lordo.
Set that up.
He's looked after me today, so there you go.
All right, mate.
TJ's paying me for that, so.
All right, safe travels, James. You're going to love it over there, and we're going to love watching you.
Thanks, fellas. Have a good one.
Good luck.
All right, terrific stuff. All right, let's have a look at the previews of the remaining matches for this round so far.
Let's start here. You would think the Western Bulldogs far too strong for North Melbourne, particularly with their aerial threats forward of the ball. But we do know, Damo, the Western Bulldogs had a couple of slip-ups late in the year last year, but I don't suspect that'll happen today.
Not against North.
And the Hawks are the hottest ticket in town, so it's just by how much they win by. Should be 10 goals plus the way they're playing.
And West Coast going favourites against the Blues. Is this a backs-to-the-wall massive game for Carlton? Can Paddy Cripps get them over the line? I think they can go very close. Everyone's riding off the Blues, but I think there's something about them today that they can get the job done.
All right, and to round off this segment, Damo.
It's the Animal Fact time, TJ, and we just have been discussing how much people love the Olympics coverage of Channel 9. There were record numbers and so well received, and it wasn't just the people, TJ, who enjoyed it. This good boy had a ball watching the gymnastics. Now, you can be excited, but you don't have levels of excitement that this dog had for the gymnastics. He loved the athletics too, Brownie, he loved the swing, but had a special soft spot for the floor routine on the gymnastics.
Right.
Good stuff.
Brilliant,
all right. We're going to take a break. When we come back, it's an all-Magpie affair in Louis handball, and also a little bit of a challenge too for some of these guys. All to be explained right after this. Welcome back to the Sunday Footy Show. I feel like I'm back now. Sort of like an hour 50 into the show. A little rusty at the start.
Yeah,
but
what
I'm
about Kane? Kane's gone hard today, isn't he?
Can I tell you, that was worth waiting 7 weeks for to come back for that. That was...
that one for you, TJ.
That volcano was something. Have you got security out the front of your place over in Adelaide?
I'll be right.
You sure?
Yep.
Just put the 3 boys out there. Oh no, not Sonny in case he gets. No, Sonny's the protected one. We've got a couple of very special guests. What's wrong with you?
Just laughing at you. It's good to have you back.
No, it's not. You're spewing on back. You are filthy on back, aren't you? I tell you who we're very excited to have here in the studio this morning is from the Collingwood Football Club, Mason Cox. How are you, mate?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, going well, thanks. And also from the Collingwood Football Club, the man known as TJ Chujath. How are you, mate?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good. TJ, you don't sort of like, it's a bit sort of like not the greatest sort of moniker to have.
I wasn't happy with it, but that's fine.
Exactly. We're going to talk to you in detail a little later on. But Mason, you're here not just to show you your skills, of course, with the handball, but also to reflect on last night and the season in general and what might lie ahead. But also you're an ambassador of sorts for the Sporting Globe in Richmond.
Yeah, so the Sporting Globe in Richmond has a new opening up. So we've actually got some hot wings. You'll be very excited, TJ.
That's you.
Nah, that's you, TJ. Chompers. Sorry, you'll be very excited, Chompers. But we do have plenty of chicken wings, brother. They did just open up a new Sporting Globe over there on Richmond off Bridge Road. It's a $3 million renovation, so it's a massive place with all kinds of games and everything else. So definitely go check it out.
All right, so guys, do you want to start off, Damo, and have a little bit of a chicken wing challenge here? Yeah. So these are spicy, yeah?
That one's the mild one. And then it goes spicier. Yeah, that one's the mild one. So we'll start with that one on the right.
You can try them all, Damo.
Yeah, Damo, try that
one. Damo, give us...
Pretty good, Damo.
Succulent?
Yeah.
If that's mild, I'm going well.
Do we need some tissues to dab your forehead there?
It's pretty good.
Okay, do it. Kane, you go the next one.
I'm okay, TJ.
Oh, actually, no. Kane hasn't eaten in 2 years.
Oh, okay.
Mordo, you go.
You can take the E.
I'll have one.
Go, Brandon.
Go on, Nathan.
That's the mild one, mate.
All right. So these are the monthly challenge, are they, at the Sporting Globe?
Yes, yeah. So it's a monthly challenge. They got the Melbourne Demons are coming in, I think, next week to do the Hot Wing Challenge. So go check it out. But it is. Hopefully, I'll. You know what the wild thing is? It's actually in reverse. So, Damo, apologies.
Yeah,
you probably got screwed over there. You should have jumped up. You were so excited to get the wing. I was hoping Choppers would be the first one. I was like, he's for sure going to be hungry.
I'm starting to sweat.
And then you just rocked up and go, no, I'll take it. That's one for the team.
No,
that's
good by Damo.
You're sweating. You're sweating.
No, I'm sweating on the top.
Lucky we did this at the end of the show as opposed to the start. You got tears in your eyes.
You have a crack, TJ.
Yeah.
TJ.
All right.
TJ, you have a go.
Sorry?
You have one.
Well, can you talk a little bit more to Mason?
We'll do this.
Have a go,
You have a feed.
You haven't pushed the plate away in London or Paris.
Sorry, mate. What was that? Sorry? What was that?
Go and have a...
Oh, you're a big tough guy publicly, yet privately you're sending me text messages like, don't know how you put up with Lordo on the show, you know, all that sort of stuff.
While he's having something to eat, Stu, talk us through your season at the Pies.
Yeah, it's been good. I was just talking to Kane before, saying how quick the season's gone, but yeah, I've been chipping away at the VFL. Had a good win yesterday, but for the most part, yeah, it's been really exciting for me.
And this is your one game this season?
Yeah, I think this is the play that I had the double cramp. But yeah, that was the one game I played in. Obviously, the big comeback we had was good to share it with my family. Obviously, big part of my journey. But yeah, when people talk to me about my debut, I don't remember much. I know it was a blur. But yeah, we came away with a win in front of the Magpie fans. So yeah, it was elite.
Amazing football family. Your brother, of course, CJ, who's dominating. But your first season, the challenges for you mentioned the double cramp and preparing yourself. I mean, take us through what it's like to get drafted the high, but then to realise, okay, I've got to prepare myself to have a really long career. Has that been a challenge?
Yeah. Yeah, CJ obviously was a big part of my journey, and he'd always say to me, enjoy being one of the better players in your teams at the junior level, because once you're in the system, you got to work your way up the ranks. I came in, I'm obviously still pretty skinny.
Yeah.
Pre-season was very tough, trying to get into the gym and match it with the big boys. But still, even now, like I'm still struggling to match at that VFL level. So obviously the pre-season will be big for me, just trying to get on weight, trying to have another year in the system, and just putting my head down and trying to earn respect from the coaches and stuff.
Now, you came out here when you were 2, and your dad designated Collingwood as the family's club. Why is that? I love this story.
Yeah, so when Dad came over, obviously he didn't have a team. So he looked at the colours of all the teams and he said, well, Collingwood are black and white and we are obviously African and coloured people, so coming into a pretty white country, he said, it resonates with us, so yeah, he chose Collingwood.
Well, I'm glad he did because you're playing for them. You've got a great future. All righty, now Collingwood.
Growing up, yes, mad Collingwood fan. Yeah, the whole Oz kick thing he said too. Yeah, all traits. But no, so it's an incredible story. He's very humble with the whole thing, but he's told a bit about it to the club and their whole family. It was great to have him on his debut, and it really meant a lot. It was a pretty emotional, I think, experience having them around.
All right, now you guys have come into our nest, but we're heading into yours because on August 30, this is probably the worst photo they could have picked.
What?
This is celebrating the start of the footy finals with us, the Channel 9 Sunday Footy Show, live at the Glass House. Seriously, that is going to change.
I had Bell's balls.
This was a photo done for a retro round.
All the photos.
Anyway, so Friday the 30th of August, 11:30 through until 2:30 at the Olympic Park, the Glass House area there. You can get your tickets at bwh or bwhospitality.com.au. I'm sure it's going to be fun.
And they are playing for the best prize pack in the business today. So the Tempur mattress delivers true restful sleep night after night. Would you believe in the Athletes Village they sent Tempur mattresses in for Ariane Titmus and also Molly O'Callaghan because the bed was so bad in there. There were so many Tempur mattresses in there. That's why we won so much gold. And a set of custom fit AI Smoke golf clubs from Callaway.
Are you struggling
because of that, those hot wings are so hot and the Odyssey white hot putter. But we won so many gold because of Tempur. So congratulations to Tempur for getting. They're really hot.
All right, let's move the target. Let's move the target. Right, it's an all Collingwood showdown here on the Sunday Footy Show. Let's go.
You on first? No, you got
Damo's sweating up the beauty over there.
Damo's got a sweat come off the back of his neck.
How many shots we get?
Five, right.
Rough answer.
7 nice style. I like that.
Oh, no.
5, 12. 7, 19. 7, 26.
Hands, Damo.
Good mouth, buddy.
7 and 33.
Well done, good start.
All right, 33, not a bad start. 7, very good handle.
7 doesn't go through.
Yeah, it has to go through.
5, 12. 7, 19. 7, 26.
7
and 33.
Generous
that
there.
was a generous 7.
Very generous 7.
It is even.
Very generous 7, Lordo.
7, 40.
I'll give that a 7. 7.
54.
Even it up.
Mason's not happy.
7.
Oh, my God.
61.
5.
And 66. Clickety clicks.
All right, so Mason needs 34 to win.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Off the left.
I saw him throw a ball on the ground once.
Chance of it, honest with you.
7.
Yeah.
40.
7. That was a clear 7. That's a 2.
49.
7. What's he need?
56. He needs a bullseye.
Hang on.
To level it
Just
up.
build the moment. Hey,
what are you doing?
Okay. You need a bullseye.
Do we let him go right-handed?
Any chance I can just give it to Jake?
You're on the non-preferred, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, it's my left hand. Come on.
Well, either hand, really.
Now.
Oh, 61.
I like this stuff.
There you go. All right, our winner for today is TJ. Well done, mate.
TJ.
There you go. Congratulations.
Well done, mate. Sleep well.
Sleep well. All right, that just about wraps it up for this edition of the Sunday Footy Show. Wherever you might be, enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
And may the sun shine on you today, like it does Mason.
A little more shade, mate.
And TJ. Oh,
Come on, you two.
Yeah, right. Okay. I thought you meant because of their football prowess.
Sorted out, TJ.
Okay, good.
Sweet. Dude, that deal was for TJ.